never mind. We can't see it anyways, Jim.
Really?
Tom, repeat yourself, please.
Paramount Plus has DRM'd the window. It's in an overlay, and it doesn't work. It's blocked from being captured with capture devices or capture software, I should say.
See if this decides to behave now. Yay! It's backwards, but okay.
So we're looking for a character in STLD with green hair.
Real quick.
Tendi, yes, the resident Orion. Yeah, she's my favorite of the cast. But if I was going to say I was someone, I'm probably Rutherford.
You're probably Rutherford.
Yeah. Rutherford's so nerdy he had a computer implanted in his own head. I'm going to assume we don't have canon on that for why, but I'm going to assume he was injured and that the cyborg parts are because he was injured, not just because, well, he was just that nerdy. But I mean, this is STLD, so you don't know. Okay, Judd's backlighting himself.
It's fine.
And you're not allowed to cut a single second of this out. We have to have the whole thing. Beginning. Oh, by the way, since that one's muted.
I have no clue what Judd has lost, but I'm kind of interested to find out what.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Since we spent so much real estate talking about microphones last time around, this is the Shure MV7, Mike Victor 7. I bought 2 of these, and I love these microphones. That's what I'm talking on right here as well. This is a dynamic microphone, so it does not need phantom power. You can plug it directly into a mixer. See, we got the XLR port back here. You can also plug it into, thanks to this little USB port. I don't know why they're not using USB-C. There's no excuse to not use USB-C, product manufacturers. But you can plug it directly into your computer with USB. And of course, it's got the obligatory headphone jack if you're using the USB. So this is a great microphone. You can record to your computer directly and go to a soundboard at the same time with one mic, which is pretty cool. I like the tone. It's a nice flat tone compared to the other mics I've used. And I don't think it rejects the background audio as well as my Audio-Technica mics did. But, sorry, my Audio-Technica. My Samson mics, Audio-Technica. I don't have any Audio-Technica microphones. I don't think it rejected background noise quite as well as my Samson mics, so I have to have my stuff in the room a little bit lower. These are not especially cheap. I think these are about $250 each. I'd have to double check on that one. It might have been $250 per pair.
And real quick, the Samsung mics he's talking about are right here.
The CO2,
I've got one.
Yeah.
I've got one right here. And it was what, for a set of 2, it was $150.
$100 for 2.
Yeah, $100 for 2.
And that's a really good price.
And they're really good. So far the cat has chewed on them, and it's great. It hasn't broken. It's got a cover that she can't just yank off and take off with, which is this part, the muff. That is the technical term for what goes on the end of a microphone, by the way. It's also inappropriate.
It's not a dead hamster or a dead cat?
No, the pop filter is the flat screen that attaches to your mic stand.
This shows about how much I know about microphones.
Well,
they are usually called wind screens.
Wind screens now?
Yeah.
Well, do you know how hard it is to find a replacement windscreen? You have to look up replacement muff.
Yeah.
So if they're wanting it to be called a windscreen now, they need to start selling it as a windscreen and not a muff.
I wonder how that's going to work in the UK, where a replacement windscreen means you broke your windshield. I still don't get why they call it a screen. It's like a screen allows some things in and other things out.
And real quick, real quick. Peanut Gorilla. Shame. Anyways, Peanut Gorilla also said that he is digging Tom's setup, so here's Tom's setup again. So everyone can see what he's talking about.
Okay, I'll zoom in so you guys can see what I got going on over here. Where is my I'm using a Logitech PTZ Pro camera, so it's remote control. We'll do the little Van and White presentation here.
Man, when people say I've got a nerdy setup, then I just look at his and go, I'm not even close.
Honestly, Brad, this is all for decoration. Okay, so starting on the right side, this is a HP Elite Desk. It's a i7 computer, 32 gigs of RAM. This is my file server. This is where I store all my downloads and stuff. So this one's running 24/7. Running right now on that computer is the Commander X16 emulator. If you don't know what the Commander X16, Google it. It's an upcoming computer project from the 8-bit guy. And then
I'm going to stop you real quick to read out a comment. Cable management is worse than mine. So the thing is, cable management's non-existent.
I don't believe in cable management, and there's a reason for that. I'm always moving wires around, and if I tie everything down, if I zip tie everything down, I end up damaging cables, having to constantly unplug, plug, and then move them around. I just gave up on that a long time ago.
I just use an under desk.
That's something. I don't know.
Things just hang in it.
So this was given to me by my good friend Jim.
Sorry,
Jim.
real quick.
This is a PiDP 11. It is a front panel simulator. It's actually powered by a Raspberry Pi computer. You can see the Pi back here. I put it in a little external case because blue LEDs. Actually, I did it because of the airflow. This actually runs a version of it's a simulated computer, so it actually runs a PDP-11 software in the background, and that's what all the blinking lights are. This is the PDP-11 simulator running. That's just one of my screens from the Raspberry Pi, and that's another screen plugged into the Raspberry Pi. The Pi 4 lets you do dual monitors. I bought this specifically because it's 4x3, so you need 4x3 for old. For retro and vintage computing.
Okay, Tom, we got another comment. You are the nerd I can only aspire to be.
Well, thank you. That actually really makes me feel great. And finally, up top, the last piece of computer kit I'll show you is my Altair 8800 emulator. That emulates the first 8-bit personal computer from 1975. Well, you could argue that the Apple II was actually the first home computer, but the Apple II was really the first popular integrated computer that had a built-in built-in display and keyboard. The Altair 8800 was the first computer that was it really opened the home
so
computing.
Apple would be the family-friendly computer?
Something like that, yeah. I guess that would be the NSFF computer then.
Well, the Apple II.
Don't forget, the Altair was also the star of a very popular hacker movie, War Games.
Yes, and also the Altair was so named because the guy that was building it, he was trying to figure out what to name the computer, and his son goes, "Well, they visited the Altair sector in Star Trek. How about you call it that?" So it's literally named after Star Trek. And then up here, this is my ham radio. This is a Kenwood TS2000. I love this radio. I had it on, but repeaters and stuff were beeping in the background, so I turned it off.
Nerds. Yeah,
Yes,
Peanut Gorilla, we
absolutely.
are. That is. So sitting at my desk is some projects that I've been working on.
Oh, that's really nice.
Yeah, we're all nerds.
I dropped it. Yeah, no. So this isn't the only one. I actually have like an entire bag of miniatures that I've been painting.
I aspire to be able to paint miniatures. The best I can do when it comes to miniatures is I can primer them.
Okay, so this is my prime coat for it because this is a chromomatic bronze dragon. So I've started adding the green that you can almost see.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Ooh, chromatic.
Yeah. but it takes forever for the paint to dry, and you have to do such small layers. So I'm like, you know, as I go about it. Right now, to me, it looks like shit.
One of the members of a server on Discord I'm a part of, or one of the communities, is a huge miniature nut. He paints entire Warhammer 40K armies.
Oh yeah, no, I've got a lot of
weekend.
friends
I'm
like
just
that.
like,
Yeah.
it's like, oh yeah, I do all the basic loads, then I do the the undercoats and a couple of top coats, and it was like, you do 20 or 30 of these in a weekend.
So I don't own any Warhammer ones unless it's like I own like a random one because I thought it was cute. I don't know what it belongs to, but I'm going to paint it.
And if you want them, Warhammer makes really nice miniatures. They're just expensive.
I mean, they're miniatures. You can also 3D print. It's a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, hey, before we get too far,
Okay.
Judd's on cam, Jim's on cam, Bunny's on cam. Let's all show off our new swag.
Okay, hold on.
Represent.
And Jim's, look at his face.
So Bunny designed us some awesome Starport Omega swag.
Okay, number one, this is your design. My design you haven't approved yet.
Oh, I'll have to look at it again.
I'm not taking credit for this design. Do not give me credit for this design. This is not my design. This awesome design is by the captain of the fucking ship. This man right here, and he keeps trying to push off everything Starport Omega on me. Like, no, Tom, this is yours. All yours, buddy.
I just made up a silly logo because, well, the Omega symbol, the center of the Omega symbol made me think of an alien head, and then of course the eyes were absolutely necessary.
Which, by the way, I wore that shirt while I was at DEF CON, and
oh really?
I got a lot of people looking at it like, what the hell is that? But I also got a lot of people looking at it and just started laughing. Like everyone thought it was a joke shirt. But the thing was that people
this
were
shirt
laughing
is available for the public, and it is on both of my stores.
Yep.
Well, I mean, I can't walk around with a T-shirt that's talking about anal probes because I have people that I know people that would be offended by that. So
that is true. That is very true.
That's the whole point behind that. Is a stealth reference.
Everybody, you're getting rickrolled.
I was wondering how long it was going to be before you did that.
Well, for the longest time, I didn't set up I didn't use the software on the phone, so it was just whatever was loaded up on it.
What is that screen, anyways? I mean, what's?
It's a Devoom Pixo.
Oh, that's
like
right.
$50 on Amazon.
So
it's a 64 by 64 matrix display.
And so it's enough that you can display a Rick Astley video on it?
Kind of.
That's amazing.
Battery should be fully charged. Hang on.
As he tries to take his computer with him.
Oh, wow. Okay. I could use something like that, actually.
Why Starport Omega has zero money?
Because we keep buying gadgets.
It's true, man. My 50% of my paycheck right now is paying off all this junk that I've already bought.
Funny enough, this is the first time I've gone to DEF CON and I haven't spent a few $100s on gadgets. And that was because there was no vendors. There was 8 vendors for the first time in like 20 years. There's been so few vendors.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Huh. Yeah, it makes sense.
I just got good news. The cat has arrived home from the vet.
Oh, good.
They have drugged him to the gills and given us a whole bunch of syringes to keep him that way for a while. So we're going to have this cat in space for about 3 weeks. But they think it will be okay.
So, do you want to explain to the audience what has happened?
My cat fell off our second-story deck and broke his hip. And
So basically, Jim's cat is an 80-year-old lady.
Yeah, well, he fell and he couldn't get up. That's for certain. He was laying down there at the bottom of the stairs yowling, and somebody finally heard him.
That is so.
And so we took him into the vet, and his hip was broken in 2 places. And vets did what vets did and sent us home with a bucket full of drugs and best wishes.
Well, I
Poor
hope
baby.
he gets better.
Me too. We're all pulling for him.
What's been going on in your week, Brad?
For the most part, just unwinding from the con. For those that aren't familiar, DEF CON is the largest gathering of hackers in the world. And we basically descend on Las Vegas like a plague of locusts.
Yeah.
Was the lockpicking lawyer
Like
there
a plague
this
of
time?
nerdy, sweaty.
It's how the government keeps track of them, because opening a convention to nerds and calling it, something for hackers.
convention,
Yeah.
They call it a job fair.
It really was. The keynote speaker one year was actually the general in charge of the NSA. 6 months later, Snowden dropped his bomb, and they've been politely asked to never come back.
Oh, good Lord. NSA
recruitment fair.
What was the badge? You told me about the badge, and I can't remember what it was. I just remember that it was really cool.
It used to be, it was every other year they would do electronic badges, and the badges are an event of themselves. This year, the badge was this kind of odd game where you had
Simon Says, that's right.
Well, that was one of the mini games that he programmed into it.
Oh, okay.
And I finally figured out why, when I tried to reverse engineer the firmware, why I couldn't get anywhere. It was all frickin' XORed with a random string. So it's like, that's great. I don't know what the hell's going on there.
That is the simplest encryption system that everybody tries when they learn programming, and they all go, I've built an unbreakable encryption algorithm. Wait, what is it? I XOR my program with an English sentence. Nobody will ever figure it out.
The first one that came up was Rot 13.
Yeah,
oh God.
13. Yeah.
There was a guy actually got arrested on stage at DEF CON for breaking Adobe's secure PDF standard. The one the government had started moving over to for secure document storage.
Oh, don't get me started on secure PDF. I'm so frustrated.
What he revealed was the secure standard is Rotate 13.
Are you kidding me?
That's what he got arrested for revealing.
I work with an application that uses and modifies PDFs as part of our workflow. That's not the main part of the application, but that's one of the components. We cannot use, modify, or embed PDFs that have been secured. And it's so frustrating because another piece of software, its primary output is PDF files. And it creates secure encrypted PDF files. And I'm like, I need you guys to not encrypt it. And they're like, we don't know how. We're just using this open source library that makes the PDFs.
Oh, that's when you get into the XDF standard, like which version are you using, which flags are they? Yeah, that's getting out in the weeds.
Yeah, so I'm not gonna go into any details, but that was the bane of my existence for weeks. And what I made them do is I made them reprint it. I said, okay, what you're gonna do is you're gonna open it up in Acrobat and you're gonna print it using the PDF renderer, and you're gonna make sure not to tick anything that says secure or passworded. And then we can work with those. It works fine. So all the people that work with the software have to print it. They don't save it. Print it, and it works fine. So we're all here because something happened this week.
Mm-hmm.
Quick quiz: what happened that we're all here because of, Brad?
Really? There's one thing this week that happened that is truly awesome, and I cannot believe it's been a year since it happened.
Talk about politics, so I don't know what it is.
Well, I'll give you guys a hint. It starts with Star.
Star Wars? Was there a new Star Wars movie?
I wish, but
Star Labs.
Well, there's been a new Star Wars animation, The Bad Batch.
Oh yeah, actually
since I haven't finished watching, what was it? The Clone Wars, let alone Rebels, let alone Rebels goes into it. It's essentially the 7th season Rebels.
Star Search. It's where they look for stars and they go up on stage and sing, and the 3 guys vote on them.
Did they reanimate Ed McMahon's corpse to do that?
No, they just call it
Peanut
the
Gorilla's
voice now.
guess is Starport
Right
Omega.
now, there's
Well,
up and down.
Okay, yeah, that
That's
is
my
actually
guess.
kind of valid.
So obviously,
Another
Thursday
guess was Dancing with the Stars.
Dancing with the Stars. What about you, Jim?
What about it?
What's your
Star
guess?
thing happened this week that is not Star Trek?
I have no idea.
Perseid meteor shower, shooting stars.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly what it was.
Yeah, the Perseid. We're currently going through the Perseids. It's supposed to peak tomorrow.
Okay,
night,
so we'll digress. For those of you who may not be catching on, we are talking about Star Trek Lower Decks tonight.
Yes, Star
Then
Trek.
it was the first. I actually watched one.
You actually watched one. Holy shit!
Actually, it's the second one. I'd watched one before, and that's why I don't really jump towards it. But I did watch the new one,
Okay,
Okay.
so
cool.
I'm ready to make fun of it.
So
Okay,
just to
cool.
recap, I'm gonna recap season 1 really quickly, and I promise to keep it short.
Okay,
We meet.
lean forward.
We meet Bradward Boimler, who is.
It's not your voice. Half your face was getting cut off.
I like it that way. So we meet Bradward Boimler, who is a nerd. He is such a nerd that he loves it when he gets more work. We met Rutherford, who is a cyborg. Half of his head is covered in metal, and he has a cybernetic eye. We met Ensign. What's that?
I said, and you're so jealous.
I really am. I really want Wi-Fi in my head. When the Borg invade in Star Trek: The Next Generation, I'm like, is this when everybody finally gets Wi-Fi? And no, they kill the Borg once again. I'm always disappointed. Ensign Tendi is an Orion, and she's green, and I love green people. And she is the most enthusiastic person you will ever meet. It's hilarious. She's
And for some
enthusiastic about
reason, I
everything.
remind Jim of her.
I think it's your effervescent cuteness. And then Beckett Mariner. Beckett Mariner should not be on the Cerritos because Beckett Mariner is the captain's daughter. In no universe should the captain of a starship have their
Family.
child as a crew member.
Yeah.
So we won't even get into the appropriateness of that situation. But that situation is actually a problem. Season 1 dealt with the fact that Mariner and Mariner are on the same ship, and Beckett is constantly rebelling against her parentage. And at the end of season 1, we finally reach a point where we think they've reached an equilibrium, which she totally blows up in the first 10 seconds of season 2 in the really cool. Oh, spoilers ahead. Spoiler alert. I don't have my spoiler alert red alert sound.
Judd could probably come up with some.
So, which Mariner
Got it on
totally
my
blows
phone,
up
but
in
that
the
means we'll
first
have to
10
look for it.
seconds while she's fighting Cardassians on the holodeck.
And
So,
I highlighted the workout scene versus highlighting her ranting towards the holodeck because I found this more amusing than the fact that the ongoing situation with her mother.
So, okay, you do Mariner and I'll do Jen.
Who?
Bunny, you do Mariner.
Okay. Yeah? What do you do?
Yoga.
Wow, how unique.
The scene went just like that.
This highlights
still-
this highlights a subreddit that I'm kind of fond of, which is Not Like Other Girls. If you don't know what it is, go check it out. It's on Reddit. If you don't know what Reddit is, you're lost on the internet. I apologize. You took a wrong turn somewhere.
Here.
Oh, hey Jim, as you're watching season 1, keep a running tally of how many times Beckett is in her underwear. Because I'm pretty sure she's half naked at least once an episode.
Look at his face.
Oh,
And I'm the one that didn't catch that.
It's a cartoon, man.
I don't understand. It's just one of those things that I'm like, why do they want to draw a half naked cartoon in every episode? But
apparently you
Sex
noticed.
sells. Sex
Apparently.
sells.
It
That's
must.
it.
But
That is the key.
it's specifically Beckett and Boimler, those two. Not Rutherford, not Tindy, not anybody else, but those two end up in their underwear at some point.
Okay, so Mariner in this scene is technically not in her underwear. This is a workout ensemble, which is generic. And if this counted as underwear, there would be a lot of women getting shit in every city across America. Because every summer you can find someone in this workout gear and stuff like that.
Not to mention the whole
during
gym scene would be very different.
During the height of the virus lockdown, I saw a woman running down the street in an outfit that looked a lot like Mariner's outfit there, and I looked at her and I went, "Darn it, girl, you're running down the road half naked. Put a mask on."
We're not even gonna go there. Anyways, yeah. Anyways,
hey, I know what I want to ask the crowd, whoever's here.
Okay, go ahead.
We all got spoiled by playing New World in the beta, and they took it away from us. And then when they found out we really wanted it, they took it away for another month. What's everybody doing until it comes back? Because I've started drinking and smoking again.
Actually, at the end of we have a slide for that at the end of this deck.
Yeah. So Jim can't wait till the end. Got it.
So to recap, the beginning of the episode has Mariner running this just awesome battle sequence on a Miranda class starship escaping the Cardassians. I think it's some of the best action I've ever seen in a Star Trek show. The holodeck or not, I loved it. I thought it was amazing. The whole thing, her action, her superhero antics, escaping from the Cardassians,
her nonchalant,
and just pew 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 pewing out of the hangar bay. It was so great.
You'll never escape. I think that's what I'm doing. Read the room.
No. The scene with the virtual Bradford.
The Bradward shackled to the wall. Yeah.
I'm just a hologram, but I think
keep showing me random lights. I'm just like
he keeps showing me 4 lights. Yeah. And then he's like, I'm just a hologram, but what did you do to make him angry? The holograms are breaking the
maybe it's because you intimidate him, and she's like, shut up.
Oh, I mean, it's obvious. Okay, it's obvious that she intimidates him, and it's also obvious that he's crazy attracted to her.
And the Cardassian is basically saying, "You're leaving him behind? Well, he did it first."
Yeah.
He left during my shift. She
uses the holodeck to get back at everybody she knows that annoys her. I love it.
Hey, it's the perfect way to do to work out your aggressions and to do psychological healing.
It's actually a bit of a meta joke because I'm learning from being parts of certain groups on Facebook that authors write people they hate into their books specifically to torture them.
Real quick.
Apparently this happens a lot.
Real quick, Tom. I think you're on Facebook more than me.
It's possible.
Do you have it on your phone?
Is this like, are we doing an intervention?
Hold on.
Yes, but it's in a folder though. It's not.
You have the app on your phone. Okay. Yeah. He is officially the youngest.
What?
I have 2 notifications right now. And one of them is from the Star Trek The Next Conversation face group. Aha, look at that.
Yeah, it's Facebook isn't for youngsters. It's actually for oldsters.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the younger generations have moved off. They like their TikToks.
What the heck are you showing? We can't see it, Tom.
It's completely not visible. In an unfortunate turn of events, Captain Picard and Riker find themselves prisoners of the evil Cardassian Empire. And it's 3 women with big butts in dresses holding phasers on Riker and Picard.
Okay.
How appropriate.
Am I the only one in the group without Facebook on their phone?
Or S. I don't have Facebook.
Okay, just checking.
Honestly, so
yes.
Well, it depends upon the phone. It depends upon the phone. Like my LG, I can just disable it. I can't actually delete it.
Oh, that's
part of the ROM.
Okay, so just to be clear, I had to install it for work because
Oh,
I
okay,
run,
that's fair.
I
That's
I run
that's
the webcast. My site, my night gig is running a webcast and a live
look at his face. Look at his face. Look at
and
Jim.
we use Facebook as our primary point of contact to all of our people.
You know what? When I was
So-
in Los Angeles, putting myself through college, I used to work in a video store. There was a guy that came in like every 3 days, and he walked out of there with a stack of like 8 or 9 porn tapes. And he said, "I'm a cameraman, and I'm learning how they shoot the angles." Kind of like you with Facebook. This is a true story, both times.
Look at Tom's face.
I'm sorry that
Look at that! Jim disappeared. What possibly could have happened? What happened, Jim? Why did you disappear?
I don't know.
Oh,
Facebook struck.
there's a chat app I use texting. Okay, that's fair, Peanut.
Oh, I'm such a
Okay.
jerk.
Okay.
we lost the
Anyways,
camera,
next
Jim.
slide.
Oh wait, why is this? Is it muted? Oh, for some reason it decided that I wanted to hide your camera.
We have
That's
slides.
Okay, so where were we? So that's Mariner's arc in this first episode, the first half of the first episode. She has so
Not
much
even
going
the
on.
first half. This is like the first
like,
5 minutes.
It's the cold open actually. The whole cold open is her holodeck adventure. I loved it.
Oh, whoa.
Let's not forget how it ends. She's like, why are you squatting? Shouldn't you be controlling the ship? She's like, I can't stop.
Day
It's
is leg day.
day. I was like,
She's getting her exercise.
Okay, so this is the person
Okay.
that I guess I resemble the most out of this series.
This is the show's power couple right here. Even though neither one of them is actually dating the other one.
Yeah.
But these two are best friends for
Married.
a reason. I mean, they really are best friends for a reason. They're the same person.
Okay, so who wants to touch base on this?
I'm talking too much. Somebody else go.
They need at least need to kiss once.
Oh
Quite
god.
honestly,
Get that
they
out of the
need to
way.
they need to get a room, is what they need to do. And I only saw 20 minutes of this thing.
Okay,
They're gonna kiss. My prediction. They're gonna kiss, and it's gonna be that awkward brother sister.
okay,
kiss,
I'm
and
gonna
they're
give
gonna
the
be like,
female perspective on all of this real quick. So basically, the show starts highlighting how basically we all felt transitioning from like our high school crew, our little sects in high school, into the adult world. And this is just a perspective that I noticed personally because everyone else is just seeing the romantic side of things. Where she is uncomfortable and feeling that she's going to lose her friend because he's with other people. It's not necessarily that it's a female. It's not necessarily that he's going on a date. Yeah, she's a little jealous. But at the same time, this little antic here highlights the fact that she is afraid of losing him, even in the minimalist way of him as a friend. Which,
Cindy is super insecure. Absolutely.
yes.
And that was one of the what was it, episode 3 or 4? She went into this whole thing with the Ascension dude. I can't sleep. It drives me crazy if someone doesn't like me. I can't sleep. I can't eat. I have to make them like me.
Yeah.
That's Tindy's thing. Everybody has to like her.
I think he ascended just to get away from her.
I think so too.
But yeah, no. And if you go to the next slide. And this really shows that, like, if you keep pushing and pushing and pushing and you're not, like, being open with people, especially if you're friends with them and you're trying to force things on them, right here is a scene where he's basically saying, then maybe we shouldn't be friends. And then they sit down and talk like Mariner suggested in the first, like, 10 minutes of the show.
And to be clear, she's wearing a bandolier of medical injectors, all with the serum that she invented for his cyber rejection syndrome. That's how crazy she is.
Yeah, and the gun that you saw her using was also a medical device to shoot medicine at him.
She built a gun. She built a gun to do a ranged medicine attack.
And the bandolier of those injectors is literally its ammo. You see her pumping new ones in, and the empty ones pop out every time she fires it. It's like it's literally double barrel medicine shotgun.
Oh, I was laughing so hard.
She pops it out.
Watching that scene.
And she built it like it was one of those collapsible or breakdownable sniper rifles from Hollywood movies.
Yeah, the sniper rifles that everyone carries in their guitar case. Yeah. Oh my god, I was laughing so hard. Or the disruptor that the Klingons build in the brig of the Enterprise by taking apart their belt buckle and the pin for their shirt and their wristwatch and
the spike on the end of the boots.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. We've got a comment. Peanut Girl says men and women can be friends without being romantically involved. This is true.
Exactly.
Huh?
It's just true, but these two are like, this is the definition of it's complicated. Like, they're both definitely interested in each other, but at the same time, neither one wants to like go there.
Well, the thing is, until they make that step, or they could get along famously. I get along with a lot of you, and we don't date.
I honestly don't get that vibe from them, and quite frankly, I don't want that. I've said this before. I'm really tired of shows coupling up the leads. We don't need every television show ever to couple up the male and female lead of the show. It's okay if Rutherford dates another woman. It's okay if Tindy dates another person. I'm not just fine with that, but I want that. I'm tired of. I don't want this show to be two couples because that would drive me nuts, and that would just be yet again falling to a lame stereotype.
Or it could be they're Bill and Ted.
Bill and Ted, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, especially after the last movie they did.
Wonder I think is great.
I thought that movie was so lame.
What I want to see here.
That was funny.
What I'd love to see here is one of them coming into their own as maybe someone from the LGBTQ community. I mean, Star Trek's done it famously before. We've seen it in Discovery. It was absolutely beautiful, and they put a heart-wrenching story into it. I'd love to see that kind of situation unfold on Lower Decks, because could you imagine the kind of humor that could come along with it?
Well, I'm just going to say this. I loved Rutherford's first date with the woman that he's having his third date with in this episode.
Yes.
That was my favorite moment in the series, was in that first episode when the two of them are sitting there like casually talking about interests and holding hands while shooting zombies and bouncing across the hull of the spaceship in pressure suits. I thought that
those two are perfect for each other. Exactly.
It was that whole like, just, we're so casual. This happens every day. It's not even a big enough deal to interrupt a date. You know, that whole thing of it. And so,
the same thing happened in this episode where Tindy comes in with the medical shotgun.
You can actually see what we're going to be talking about next in part of the scene right here of this top section.
Okay, so here is what I hated about this episode, and this feeds right back to what I was saying before. Mariner should not be on this ship because Hermione is pandering to Mariner's every little whim, and Mariner once again, side mission. I want a side mission, Mom. Here's my side mission that I'm going to do, Mom. I'm going to clean up one of the buildings so that they look at the building and go, wow, if you actually work and clean your place up, then maybe it'll be nice. And lo and behold, she ends up basically turning the first officer into another Gary Mitchell. And Jim, tell us about Gary Mitchell.
Gary Mitchell's awesome. He's all I want to be in life.
That was the first. Was that the first episode that aired, or was it the first episode that was made?
That was the second pilot.
Yeah, that was the second pilot. It was not the first one made. The first one made was what they cut up and made the menagerie out of.
Well, I mean, aside from that, yeah.
I believe it was actually.
I think
it was the third episode aired.
That's right. The Salt Vampire aired first, but Gary Mitchell was actually made first.
Yeah, it was either 3 or 4.
Wasn't Where No Man Gone Before? Was that the name of that episode? Did they actually name that one Where No Man Has Gone Before?
I believe it was it. Yeah.
So in that episode, they try to cross they try to cross the barrier at the outside of the galaxy, and the energy in the barrier turns Gary Mitchell into this godlike creature, and he goes mad with power. Which, of course,
And quite honestly, I'd pay real money if he would just sit there, looked in the camera, and went, "Kneel before Zod."
Okay.
I kept the one episode of Lower Decks I was watching. I kept waiting for him to say that.
My favorite moment though was when of his little ranting, his little rampage was when he's over there curling the trees.
Yeah.
It's like you're a god,
I think he's focusing
you don't need to
on
lift
buys
weights.
and tries.
So, let's not forget the whole he needs to start doing it so even more things start lifting off the ground.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's like transforming all the stuff into free weights.
So basically, he turns into a god to have a toddler-sized hissy fit that is a bit more of a issue. I'm gaining a cat. And the solution is obviously to start kicking him in the gonads.
Hey. The neutral zone.
The neutral zone.
Neutral zone. That's what Beckett called it.
Yeah.
And did you guys know?
Your neutral zone.
Did you guys know that canonically the Cerritos is almost as big as the Enterprise D? It doesn't look it. It looks like it's the same size as a Miranda, but that saucer section is huge. They were talking about that on a couple of days ago.
How many crew are on this ship?
It's unclear.
And how big is it?
It's unclear, but the ship is something like 600 meters long.
My biggest problem with it is why are all these ensigns and cadets kind of thing just on bunk beds down a corridor?
I know, isn't that really? It's yeah. Well, hey, do you remember in Star Trek V they had a bunk room like that? Remember that they went into the bunk room and
yeah, but that was actually in a room. This is in a hallway.
I don't know. Every incident,
giant
in my opinion,
common room space.
Well, you have you seen the infographic where they have the Enterprise D and it's like this big, and then you put all 1,200 crew members on the top of the ship and it's a little postage stamp.
Yeah, there's
more than enough room,
and tons of space.
More than enough room for everyone to have quarters.
Yeah,
I think they just did it because it's funny.
I think
it's like a Roger Rabbit. I can only do it when it's funny. Which cat is that?
Prissy. The small one. Hi, I know, baby.
I have no idea where my Amber Dog's at. She's not on my bed.
The thing is, she wants me to pet her ears, but right now she's healing from an issue with her ears. So yeah, and I love how the doctor's just like, how the captain's like, how did we deal with that last situation? We dropped a boulder on him. Well, we can't do that. I'm gonna go get a boulder. And she fucking does.
A big rock.
Just pulls a forklift out of her butt to do it.
Mm.
Like, we're not even talking like Star Trek Future 24th Generation forklift. We're talking forklift you'll see at any warehouse right now.
I think
it hovers.
Or something.
It hovers.
Yeah.
It hovers.
That's what I love about this show is they take legit Star Trek material and then they turn it on its ear and do something silly with it. But this episode name dropped the heck out of Gary Mitchell, and obviously he is, the things happening to him is supposed to be the same thing that happened to Mitchell. I mean, even in the show they literally said it. They mentioned his name a couple of times.
Well, they even had a whole infographic up on the main viewers display in one.
Yeah, well, that's right. They had a picture of him up
Gary
there.
Mitchell, basically a god, and like some text like that. I was like, wow, they're really hanging a lantern on this. They're going whole hog.
And I don't know how they got the boulder back off of him and whether he survived, but apparently he does because
he did. Like, yeah, he survived, but he's going to be in the med bay for another couple of weeks.
So, did you watch, Brad? Did you watch the whole first season?
I did. I just did not rewatch it before the season started.
Right. What about
you? The full first season it took a few episodes for me to get into it, but holy crap! By the end of that first season, I was laughing my ass off. That was so well done.
Yeah, I rewatched the first 5 episodes, and it did the same thing to me the second time around that it did the first time. I watched the first one and went, "This is the most immature piece of junk I've ever seen," with the exception of the zombie fight the running zombie fight through the quarters. I thought that was brilliant. The second episode, I went, this is even less mature than the first one. The drunk Romulan, yeah, the drunk Klingon, and he pooped on his sword. I mean, can you get any more juvenile than the humor around the Klingon in episode 2? But then at the same time, that was full of character development. There was so much character development.
I thought it was gold after we got past like episode 1.
But by the time 3 hit, I thought they really hit their stride. And at 5, I loved episode 5. So episode 5 is the one where Boimler finds a girlfriend, and it turns out to be this little parasite that was attached to the back of his skull. I just thought that was gold all the way through. Beckett's, and again, we talked about how Beckett and Boimler are obviously attracted to each other. Her jealousy through that entire thing. Supposedly she's protecting her friend, but it's obvious. So obviously she's jealous.
It's not just jealousy. She's afraid of losing him as a friend. And no offense, hold on, real quick. No offense to guys out there. There are a lot of people that will get a significant other and then they drop off the face of the fucking planet.
I hate that. Yeah.
And it happens a lot more often. It's like, well, I can't be friends with you. Why? Because my girlfriend doesn't. Or I can't hang out with you because my boyfriend doesn't. Like, what does he have to do with us being friends? Well, if he doesn't like you.
Well,
And
Jim
then
can attest to that. That happened to me. I was with someone that didn't like him, and we stopped hanging out. And then it turned out, in the long run, he won.
Yay!
Dude, it wasn't just me that didn't like her.
Yeah, we won't go into any details, but yeah, that happens a lot. And but it wasn't even that. It's just I really felt like that entire episode where we were seeing the green-eyed monster of jealousy.
So, Peanut, I did make the example of, well, my boyfriend doesn't like you, as in it happens to all relationships. So, yes, I know that girls do it too. It's kind of like masturbation. Everyone does it. We just don't talk about it.
We don't talk about it. But coming back, bringing it back around to the
like company.
Bringing it back around to Bondage Boimler in the holodeck. It once again you left me first. It's obvious that she just couldn't. She's having trouble processing the whole
abandonment
around thing. Yeah.
Well, the question is if it's just not just abandonment, also the fact that she's been busted down how many times? Like 4 or 5?
What do you mean?
She doesn't want to be an officer. She doesn't want the responsibility. She doesn't want to be in charge of other people. I think she doesn't want. My personal opinion is she doesn't want the. It's not that she doesn't want the authority or the job. I think she doesn't want to be responsible for other people's lives, and of other people's lives hanging under her command.
Yeah, she's too much of a cowboy.
She's too much of a
she's
coward.
Too much like
she's
Kirk.
a coward. She's a coward. She doesn't want to be in charge of other people because if someone gets hurt under her watch, it would devastate her.
I wouldn't necessarily call her a coward for that. Just the fact that fearing for the lives and safety of others isn't a cowardice act. She's not experienced enough to be able to be put in that situation. But it doesn't make someone a coward to not want to make the life and death decisions of others. That takes a lot of experience and a lot of training. Her mother's in that experience, or she's in that position.
Which is never discussed in Star Trek, but actually, they did one episode where Troy was being trained. She finally got her commander's pips.
Mm-hmm.
Where she went through officer training, and she had to go through that exact situation.
So did Wesley Crusher. He had several tests. It was not just the Starfleet test, but he had. Remember the episode where he was put in charge of a survey, like some sort of a geology survey, and he had to command people that were older than him.
Yeah. So
And,
real
like they tried to run roughshod over him, and like he's all talking to Riker about it. He goes back in there and he just puts his foot down, and everybody's like, "Okay."
So final. Since you're responding to the comment already, do you want to bring it up?
Well, what Pino was saying is like, does anybody else see that it's strange that Star Trek doesn't have any, non-enlisted personnel?
Any enlisted? He
But
said
they
any
do.
enlisted.
They absolutely do. There are plenty of, in fact,
And there are
canonically,
episodes where crewmen show up.
Yeah, the crewman is the lowest rank. That is equivalent to a seaman in the Navy. There's crewmen, and then there are petty officers. There's petty officer first class, and there's a chief petty officer. And there may be some other crewman subdivisions as well. Chief O'Brien in Deep Space Nine.
Yeah, he mentions that. He says that
has the enlisted rank of chief petty
Hey,
officer.
Infinity Omega.
Oh,
So-
However, he's been busted down too.
So the best I think we get is a show are Kirk's U-Men and Chief O'Brien.
In the books, there have been ground forces that were all enlisted, no officers. But the thing is, they're the books. They're CBS and Paramount basically both said, they're not really canon.
One of the Star Trek card game tabletop games that came out in 1992-ish also had, it might have been a little bit later. Anyways, it also has crewmen in it.
And I'm just gonna, I'll go out on a limb here and point out that the number of people involved in running these starships is actually way out of kilter with what it would take in real life. So there's a lot of automation in Starfleet, a lot of robotics.
Those you're making the mistake of thinking those ships are warships. They're not. They're exploration vessels or science vessels.
Right.
There is a fairly competitive way to get on those, and most of the people on those ships are researchers. There's enough crewmen to keep all the machines going, but there's more people on there than necessary because they're working on their own projects.
Well, the thing is, like, we don't have a lot of.
Backwards. I was going to say there's not even a tenth as many people as required to run the ships.
So
we're running the ships the same way we run our Navy.
Okay, hold on. So let me just put it to this Hollywood aspect of things. So crewmen are to street people on a Marvel series, the people that you see in the background. So yeah, there's not a lot of them that are named, but they're there. And in almost every Star Trek episode, when they're walking the hallways, you see other people that are never named, random faces. Those are crewmen.
And that's also very true to the way the military is. You don't prep mate with officers.
Well,
if you're a crewman, it's yes or no, sir. I'm out of the room, sir. And the opposite is also true.
Another military brat aspect of all this is my father, brother, and sister called the first enlisted the lowest of the low that you can enter in on any military platform, no matter what you're going into. So Army, Navy, Marines, whatever, National Guard, Air Force, as body bags.
Body bags. Oh, that's terrible.
Because that's how everything seems to work. There is a stepping stone in. Hi. Oh my God. Okay. Stop. Okay. You want to be there? Where do you want to be?
I just think we have fewer enlisted personnel because the ships don't need them. We don't need people turning wrenches because we have robots to do 90% of that work.
Right.
But there's only.
I don't want to pay attention to you right now.
Even with how powerful the computers were, the way they kind of said is that it's not true AI, so there was still a lot of human intervention.
Right, but if you look at cargo ships, actual cargo ships that travel this world right now, they only need like 15 people on board. You got this huge cargo ship that's a half a mile long, or however big these things are. It's not that big, but
a little more than 15.
Huge cargo ships with hundreds of feet long and with millions of tons of cargo on board, and they've got like 20 people running the ship because you only need like 3 or 4 people in. You only need like 2 people on the bridge at any given time, and 2 people making sure the equipment's running and in
you've got an entire cafeteria basically. So that alone, if you're feeding a couple hundred people, or not even a couple hundred, you've got almost everyone has been seen with a bartender. I mean, or else why else would we have gotten the pleasure of having Whoopi Goldberg in Star Trek? You've got people that are waiting. We never really have one that's named on that are the wait staff. You've got someone. You got to have the bus boys and people doing dishes, and you got to have a cook, an actual cook.
Well, let's look at the larger economic situation in the Federation.
Judd's got a thought.
In Star Trek 6, they actually go into the kitchen, and there's cooks and everybody in there.
Yes, they do. And remember, somebody shoots a pan and it melts it, and then the alarms all go off.
Yep.
So I basically think that we have probably the same amount to run a high school on a ship.
That's possible. Yeah. And my thinking is
depending on the ship.
My thinking is this: the Federation doesn't need you to work. You don't have to get a job.
No.
And unemployment, we look at large scale unemployment as a disaster. That should actually be the goal. Our goal should be to have an economy where anybody that doesn't want to work doesn't have to. That's what the Federation is. If you want to just be an artist and you just want to draw and write and create your entire life, you can do that. And you don't have to work to put food in your mouth because that's provided. So why would somebody work as a crewman on a starship doing nothing but swabbing decks and cleaning toilets?
Because
why would they choose that life?
Hold up. It's the first step of a journey.
No one would choose that.
Hold on.
Yes,
Hold on.
What?
I know the answer to this. To feel a part of something bigger.
That's a good point. And maybe some people would just for that reason. My personal opinion is they don't need them. They've got robots to scrub the toilets. And so most people join
to see the world. Peanut gorillas.
And
got it.
And joining and coming on
Galaxy.
board as a first level.
Peanut gorilla. To see the galaxy. To travel.
See the galaxy, they said.
Which hey, that's the same as military across the world. There's a lot of people that'll join the military to see the world, to travel. Anyways, anyone else got any more takes on this? How else you gonna pay for that camera that gets repoed in a month? Oh gosh.
I would also point out that Starfleet focuses on putting people in areas that they are going to excel at best. It may not be a glamorous job, but it may be a job that someone's quite good at. I mean, we may have the future. We may be way in the future and have all this advanced technology, but there's still diseases. That's a constant issue in every version of Star Trek. Is someone getting some new alien disease? Well, so well, what about transporters? Transporters are great at buffering the pattern as it exists, and there are, as has been explained in 3 different versions of Star Trek off the top of my head, that they can cut out certain diseases, but they have to know about them first.
Oh,
hey, the first episode of Lower Decks is an alien disease makes its way onto the ship. Why didn't the transporter biofilter filter it out?
And real quick, we also have to remember that there are kids on board these ships. There are families, and we get some ships, and we get a little the next generation where we see and my brain flakes on this.
The TNG was the first ship with civilians on. The Enterprise D was the first ship canonically with civilians on board as non-crew.
But we see teenagers and everything else learning how the Federation works. So you also have to think that at TNG level, we are now on. We've got to have universities and schools and teachers and daycare. And we have to have that at almost all levels because we are now including this on ships. So we also know that the Federation has education down on the planet. They have a school down on the planet where they are teaching people the Federation. And you have the basic training. You've got boot camp for the Federation where you have to go in and test and do everything else that you need.
Do you remember? Rutherford's captain his command test? They put him on the holodeck and said, you're the captain. And he goes, do the Janeway maneuver. And then like the ship hits an asteroid and like, oh, all the kids in the pre-K have been ejected into space.
Yeah. So there's a lot more going on to it.
We now know the Cerritos has children on board too.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, no, we actually have more people working on the ship than at a high school because most high schools do not have daycare. So we've got to keep that in mind.
Or a barber.
Or a barber.
These are technically generational ships.
The barber in my junior high school was the PE teacher, and if your hair got long enough to reach your collar, he would cut it off with shears, with the kind that had the jaggy edge.
Ugh! Ow!
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Poor Tom.
Wait, those are fabric shears. What the hell?
It was intentional. It was a form of punishment.
Yeah.
Okay, so Peanut Gorilla, I was just thinking that Starfleet militarizes in the more recent shows, and in a show all about the lower deck crew, there would be more named non-coms.
Yeah, it's a good point. I don't.
The thing is, okay, so you want more named main characters, but a lot of people can't focus long enough for that, so you're going to get 4. And one of them is bad at being a leader, and they're going to continue to highlight the fact that she can get promoted and demoted every other episode.
And she does.
We don't need a Game of Thrones situation where there's so many names and so many people that you literally don't know.
I thought we weren't talking about things that were dead in society.
Okay.
No, what I'm saying is that was one of the problems that show had was there were so many named people and it was like I don't know who the hell that is.
So
that one guy, in that one department.
So next week the episode ends with Boimler really unhappy on the Titan. And I always thought that if you actually lived the life of your favorite fictional hero, you really would be miserable because it would be so stressful. I think we're gonna see that next week, and I'm excited to see I'm excited to see more of cartoon Riker.
I want Jim's prediction
about what
next week's episode.
How does Boimler get back onto the Cerritos?
Maybe he doesn't yet.
Okay.
I kind of like the way that the last shot for that was Riker just dilating out as it goes, I love my job. And everyone else is like losing their guts, and he's just there shitty and grin going, yes.
I think that the writers capture the spirit of Riker perfectly with that character. And I mean, obviously, we're going to see more of it next week, I hope. But I mean, obviously, it's a cartoon and a parody of the character. But at the same time, they just nailed him so perfectly. I would
genuinely not be surprised.
What's that?
I wonder if they'll bring in Tom Riker.
Oh, that'd be fun.
So, Judd, what are your predictions for the next episode?
He's going to pull what's her name? I can only remember right now Tindy and Boimler. What's the
Beckett.
Beckett. He's going to pull a Beckett, get knocked down, and kick back over to the Cerritos.
Huh?
Well, maybe not next episode, but it'll happen this season.
Okay, my prediction is there's going to be an unsanctioned thing that ends up with both ships having some kind of collaboration. And absolute fucking chaos. I will be disappointed if there's not absolute fucking chaos by our next podcast. So that's 2 episodes.
More Packlet stuff.
Here's my big question. When are they going to introduce Q?
No, I hate
Well, they've
Q.
already had him in a couple of flashbacks. So,
speaking of Q, and I'm going to go off topic for a second. Have any of you guys watched
the trailers
for Picard? John
Delancey
looks
No.
great.
Yeah,
No.
I
he
am
does.
so excited for. I mean, like
Quite-
Picard looks
quite
old,
honestly.
right? Patrick Stewart just looks old,
Well, yeah,
and
but
John Delancey just looks fabulous.
Yeah, well,
Dude,
Patrick
dude.
Stewart is 20 years older than John Delancey is too.
Okay, I'll give you that one. But man, that that
But
little,
yeah, I have
little
to say,
2 seconds we got him in that
I have to
teaser.
say, but I am not a gay man, but John Delancey looked pretty damn hot when he walked on. I'm like, damn.
Every now and then,
Shatner's in his
real
80s.
quick. Every now and then, when Tom calls other people old, I just want to knock him down a peg.
What? I have no idea.
Hey,
You called
she's probably
Picard
just
old, and you're like,
He
Picard
is.
looks old. It's like,
he's like 80 years old. And
Picard's
I,
older,
you know,
no.
He's in his
Patrick Stewart-
mid-70s.
Patrick Stewart,
Who?
I thought he was like
Patrick,
80.
Patrick Stewart is older than the 70s.
Sir Patrick Stewart.
Yes, ma'am.
Patrick Stewart was 49 years old when TNG debuted.
He was
Um,
49.
49.
But
Yeah.
you know, it's. I get that he's old, but you know, comparing him to a young man
Stewart
and
is
saying
81
he's
years old.
old is.
There we go. Yeah, I was gonna say because Will Wheaton turned 49 like last year, so they made a big deal about the fact that Will Wheaton was the same age as last year as as Picard was when he started on the Enterprise D. And
Damn. William Shatner's
Damn.
90.
Hey, how old do you think that John Delancey is?
I'd say late 50s.
He is 73.
He is set. Wow.
He is
Yeah.
73.
yeah, he wasn't that much young. He couldn't have been that much younger. than
I
Patrick
thought
Stewart
he was like 20 years younger. I had no idea. Man, tell you what, clean living and staying out of the sun has done him well. Amazing.
William Shatner's 90.
Yeah, Shatner is definitely, and he's a good 90. I mean, he's definitely well preserved. But I mean, I guess modern science can work miracles.
Yeah.
He doesn't look a day over 70.
You don't look a day over 73. I'm not sure
Now
whether
you know what the special effects budgets are so large in the movies that he's in. Come on, guys, wheel Shatner in here. We got to make him look good.
You can actually see the boning lines in a couple of shots in Star Trek V. You can see the boning on the side of his shirt. Okay,
Yeah.
so Jim had a question. What was your question earlier, Jim? What is everyone doing while we wait for the New World to launch after beta?
Yes, indeed.
We have an answer to that question.
And
Okay.
oh god.
So, a good amount of the Starport Omega crew is playing the Dungeons and Dragons Neverwinter MMO. Myself included, Tom included. Jim is taking a hiatus of absolute fucking hatred right now, which that is okay. Final has joined us.
You know what? I only have 9 top level characters in that game, and about 2,000 hours in.
I know. You're taking a hiatus. I was being polite.
Jim does not play. You could see the thing about Jim is he doesn't play a video game. He dives in head first with flippers and scuba tanks, and we don't see him for weeks.
I'm actually curious. How much time do I have in that game?
Hey,
I
Brad.
don't want to think.
What was it? Dead Souls? What's the game that Charles always plays?
Yeah, Dead Souls.
Jim, you should play Dead Souls.
You know what? I do not have that much time in this. I only have 510 hours.
Oh, dear Lord.
So, anyways, Tom is playing SnowRunner, which is a truck simulator, and
it's fun.
It's fun.
An interesting genre.
Yeah.
Me and Final have been dabbling at Dead by Daylight and screaming our absolute fucking heads off. And I got Planet Zoo for my birthday, and I've been playing through its campaign mode, which speaks to my OCD-ness, because I can't move on from the campaign mode to go to the actual mode I want to play until I get through the campaign mode with all the stars.
That sounds familiar. Diablo 3.
Yeah.
Well, yesterday and today I played a redacted game.
That he can't actually talk about right now.
Did you enjoy a redacted game?
Other than the frame rate being capped at 30 and the build seemed to be about a year old. It was okay.
Are we talking about the redacted game we spoke about earlier?
I don't know if we spoke about it. I
Well-
spoke to
We had a few comments
about
go
it.
back and forth on the board.
we did.
So it's,
Yes, we did. We were talking about the year of original release.
Maybe that was a while ago, but not recently.
Dude, it was today.
yeah, that was
I don't think he was talking
probably
about.
like 4 hours ago.
Oh, I was talking about Diablo 2.
Hey, that name shall not be spoken here,
Yeah.
apparently.
Yeah, no, we're not talking about anything Activision or Blizzard.
That in the chat was the game that shall be not named. No, I'm playing a different game that I was invited to a technical test.
Oh, look at you.
Oh, well, you're under NDA then, so we're not going to talk about it.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, then. On we go.
So real quick, Neverwinter is a action. It's an action RPG, but it's
If there
not
was
a
any action in it, I go back to playing it.
it's not a top-down action RPG like some
It's
of these
an
other games
MMO.
we're talking about. It's an MMO. You have, unlike a lot of these games, like if you play World of Warcraft and you're a magic user, you got your skill bar at the bottom full. You got the one up above that full. Then you got one going down the right side of your screen and the one going down the left side of your screen. With Neverwinter, you get like 5 skills and that's it. If you want, you can pick from a larger menu of skills, but that's one of the things about that game is you can only put so many things on your hotbar, so you have to pick what you're doing, and it's focused more on action than on clicking some guy in your party list and then just hitting the heal button over and over, or standing there and spamming your taunts while you tank the boss.
And
Um,
according to Tom, you can get through this game in 12 hours. Our group cannot because we have no attention span. I get distracted by flowers and glowy shit. Tom gets distracted by enemies that we're not supposed to even be fighting.
Yeah. My
Shall we call you
FPS just
Doug
runs
in
into
game?
danger.
yeah. It really is easy to shiny in that game.
Ooh, shiny.
Shall you all be
So-
called Doug in game?
Ah,
Doug.
SnowRunner
Squirrel.
is it's not really a trucking game. SnowRunner is an off-road simulator where you are driving large off-road vehicles.
Okay, real quick. Are
and-
any of them
yeah.
not considered trucks?
There are various, like you do have a pickup truck.
Truck.
You have an International Harvester Scout. I think it's an International Harvester Scout. It's a Jeep basically. But you also have you have a lot of trucks.
Okay, so
But,
you do have Jeeps in this one. Okay, so
Yeah, but it's
The
more of
crane
an
is
off-
not a
it's more-
truck.
It's about the off-road, navigating this off-road and climbing sides of mountains and driving through the snow and the mud and getting your vehicle from A to B without getting stuck.
things I've
it's not
actually
like-
done.
Yes, it's not so much like European Truck Simulator where you get in a semi and just drive across the country.
Yeah.
Which is
I
not the
did
most
get
boring
a-
thing
I
I've
was
done.
saying it was a truck simulator because it literally simulates you driving a vehicle.
Oh, yeah,
That's
yeah.
it.
Dead by
I did-
Daylight. Go ahead, Jen.
I was gonna say I did get a 2005 Toyota Camry stuck in the snow.
Actually, not hard to do.
Yeah.
well, in SoCal where there's
I-
typically no snow.
I've been
Yeah.
watching some Dead by
Did a vehicle
Daylight and watched my
stop
kid
or-
play it. That looks like a fun game. I compare it to Among Us a little bit, except that there's no mystery about who the bad guy is. You're being chased by Freddy or Jason or
So I have found one thing about being killer that I really
Wow.
like, which is when I get to kill someone by my own hand. Turns out I enjoy that. That's not very good.
You're running Memento Moris.
No, I'm there is a skill, it's a Rancor, and I get to kill the obsession by hand at the end of the game if I catch them. So every now and then I'll put that on there just to see what the animation is for a killer.
Note to self: find the skill and get it leveled up.
note to self: call psychiatrist for Bunny.
Hey, I got turned away from one of those recently because of my insurance. Yay!
Oh,
Anyways,
gosh.
we're not going to talk about that.
I have
Dead
not
by
played Planet.
Daylight is
I don't
fun,
know
but
anything about
holy
Planet
crap.
Zoo.
Okay, so
Planet Zoo is like a.
so Planet Zoo, it reminds me of the old Zoo Tycoon games. You basically get to build a zoo, and you get to go through all the scenarios and put everything that the creatures need in their habitats, make them happy. You get money to build things. It's basically like Sims, but with animals.
So, kind of like, what was the name of that game I used to play? It was like this. I played this game in elementary school, so like a long, long time ago, in a city far, far away. They installed a game called Dino Park Tycoon.
Kind of.
Oh yeah.
I was that game and King's Quest 6 were the games that like brought me into playing stuff that was like different types of game styles.
Yeah, no, it's like the old, it is like the Tycoons. The original, like the big setup of, it came on like 4 or 5 discs, you know, the roller coaster one and all that.
Roller Coaster Tycoon.
Yeah.
I'm still frustrated because I bought that Back to the Future. I'm sorry, no, it was the Knight Rider. I bought that Knight Rider roller coaster pack on Humble Bundle, thinking it was a standalone game because it didn't have the little thing at the bottom that said you have to own the Tycoon game. And then I found out, no, this $3 expansion requires the $45 game to play. So it's just sitting there in my library until I do something.
So Infinity Omega, you would enjoy Jurassic World. I own Ark for that. That is the reason why I own Ark, is because I can tame and breed and hatch dinos.
I punched my pterodactyl until he became my best friend.
Yep. And for some reason, Final, anytime we play Ark, gives me a beaver. Every single time we play Ark, Final has some kind of notion of, I need a beaver.
What is it they're good for? They're good for chopping.
They're great
wood,
for swimming around in the water. They are like the best.
My base was in an area away from the water, and he brought me a beaver and put it in my pond where I already had wild beavers spawning. Like, why do I need a beaver? I just have this pond. I fly everywhere.
One thing I found out the hard way is do not put a turtle in your fish pond.
No.
Turtle eat fish?
Turtles are monsters. You get them near a fish, man, they are just... You think a shark is vicious? You've never seen a turtle going after a fish.
You can turn off their aggro.
Man.
Oh, are you talking real life turtle?
In real life, yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah,
I thought we were talking about the game still.
I used to have a 75-gallon aquarium with a Western painted turtle in it. And my daughter wanted to feed him some fish. So, feed her some fish, actually. So we got a couple of feeder goldfish and dumped them in there. And dude, that turtle was vicious.
So Tom can't have carnivores as pets.
I feel terrible. I used to have a snake, and I felt awful feeding the mice to the snake.
You inherited a snake.
Well, it's a long story, and I'm not going to get into it but yeah, I had the snake, and then it was a baby snake, and we fed it a mouse.
Wait, hold on. What are you laughing at? Are you okay? Are you laughing at Tom? Because if you're laughing this hard at Tom, I'm guessing
something. It was just something you said. I'll talk.
So it was a small snake, and we fed it a mouse that was too big, and the mouse scared the snake, and the snake went whoop into the corner of the tank and curled up into the smallest ball it could curl up into, and wouldn't eat for 3 days.
Yeah.
And
I'd be scared too. My food's big enough to eat me.
Is sitting there in the snake's tank with no food. So like after a day, I'm like, I can't leave it like that. And I went back to the pet store, and they're like, I'm like, what do I do? And they're like, well, just give it some, and like, so they told us what to do. And so we're like, basically I ended up with a pet mouse, and the thing didn't live for very long. It lived for like, I don't know, 6 months or something like that. The feeder mice, they're full of diseases. They're like, they get cancer and stuff.
Okay, real quick, hold on. I was given 3 feeder mice because someone got it for their frog and their frog died. I had those feeder mice for 6 years because the expectation me and my dad had is if we already had a supply, then my mother would sooner or later accept the fact that we could get a snake because I already had like 15 lizards. And turns out snake was on Mom's, if you bring that into the house, I will set it on fire. The house. And with everyone in it. Snakes are on her, snakes to her are my spiders.
I used to we would go camping and I would pick up snakes and like with our youth group at church and like the girls would just freak out. I mean, like this one, you got anywhere near her with one and she would just go running the other way like the Roadrunner in a cartoon. I mean, yeah.
See, and I was the weirdest kid because I picked up and tried to bring home everything, including a copperhead once. And I was like, Daddy, look. It gave me love bites. That was my notion. I was a dumb kid. I'll admit it. That was my notion of an animal biting me is it must love me.
I got bit by a gopher snake once.
So you wouldn't like the wolf spider living under my front door? No. My fear of spiders comes from every EpiPen and ER trip that they have caused me. So I try to prevent spiders. I do not kill. I will catch and release jumping spiders and daddy long legs. And I do not outright like go and kill a spider. I will put like a cup over it and I will call someone else. I will literally call someone to come and take care of a spider or my cat eats it. That's not on me though, because I'm not going to take it away from her. She gets vicious. I've had to take a snake away from her. So she took out like a 2-foot long garter snake that got into the apartment. And this was years ago, but I get a text message from a roommate and they're like, so your cat found a snake in the house today. What do you mean? I get a picture of her and she has like torn this thing in half. And it's like, yeah, she does that. But she attacks anything that moves. That
cats are
not human.
Cats love to hunt. It's like they love to hunt, but then they'll kill it and then they'll just be like, whatever, and just go on to the next thing.
Story time.
That is just what they do.
Story time. My dad has adopted a cat. His name is Loki. I have Odin. Loki is from the same neighborhood. Loki is a large cat. Loki is a male cat. Loki's an indoor-outdoor cat. Loki is trying to teach my dad how to hunt. So he will bring him a live squirrel and release it in the house. So my dad has had to buy traps and he's bought a pellet rifle with ammo because the cat has released so many birds, snakes, and squirrels in the house that my dad now has an issue keeping them out. And he keeps messaging me, and he's like, how do you deal with this? And I'm like, well, you, number one, put a bell on the fucking cat. That's why a lot of cat collars come with bells. It's so the things around them can hear them.
They can't sneak up on things.
I'm like, number two, don't let them outside during peak little critter hours, which are early in the morning and dusk. Dawn and dusk. Don't let them out at those times. Keep them inside more, because if they're an indoor cat, they're not going to bring you little presents. He goes, he used to bring me dead stuff. And I'm like, oh, also you can learn how to eat in front of your cat. Cats are social creatures. If they think you're starving to death, they're going to feed you. And if they think that you're starving to death, but you're doing it because you suck at being a cat, they're going to teach you how to eat.
They're trying to teach you how to be a cat. I never realized that that's what they're doing.
So my dad has had a lot of issues, and he's also been informed by the vet that because his cat kills and eats so many animals outside of his house instead of the canned food and dry food, that he has to be dewormed every like 3 months. So that's been a lot of fun.
Well, now I know what medicine to give the cat to take care of the worms.
Oh dear Lord!
Oh, God. We're not going to have that conversation.
Yeah.
Right now,
Okay, so Jim, what was so funny?
No, we're not going there.
Okay, we're not going there. Okay, so what are we doing?
It was very, very funny, but it wouldn't be now.
Okay.
So it's 9:43. We had talked about trying to play a game, but we also spent at least an hour longer on the talking than we originally thought we were going to spend.
Yeah,
Maybe we should pick another game.
Yeah, maybe we should hold off till next time on that and do more research into Tabletop Simulator and get some suggestions from.
We should get some kind of a card game together so we can smack talk each other while we're playing.
Yeah.
Also, when it comes to board games, Monopoly is off the table.
No Monopoly.
Well,
yeah, no thanks.
yeah.
It is
Why no
banned
Monopoly? Why?
So
because that's
Monopoly
how you
is-
lose friends.
It shifts.
two card games I really enjoy are Flux. Specifically, I have Star Flux and Firefly Flux. And I also have a game called Munchkin that is a lot of fun.
Okay, Munchkin might be one that we'll be able to do when we have a small amount of topics during a stream. But we'll have to talk about some of this off camera. I'll put a tweet out with a poll when we have a good selection of games going, and I'll let you guys decide on that. If that is okay
Gets
with
me in
everyone.
trouble.
That's the fun part. Is there
Enjoy
anything? Is there anything anyone wants to say before we head off?
Sleep.
Oh, poor Judd. I'm sorry. I will try to keep Judd a little bit more updated when it comes to shit because obviously I did not give him enough warning. Okay, what's being shared?
The question for the group is: buy it yes or buy it no.
Okay, hold on, I'm pulling it up. What the fuck?
Tom knows what it is.
Oh,
It's the wrong color, but
Yeah, shouldn't it be orange?
I was thinking that the glass should be green.
No, the glass is the right color. It's the leather that's wrong. The leather, it should be more of an orange color.
It could.
I
just
need
be the,
more
photography.
information to say one way or another. So update our watchers.
Let me see if I can find it.
Do you have the picture from the Star Trek episode? There it is.
I'm gonna say what are you gonna do with that?
Well, I have a recipe to make they call it Saurian brandy, but it's just a spiced brandy. I was thinking it would look good on the shelf.
Soft pass. So from our very own Peanut Gorilla, there's a soft pass vote going on. I'm yay or nay on it. Just watch out about alcohols being corked. So don't fill it to the brim and don't lay it outside.
I do have a tea set of which they use the cups for some tea, Earl Grey, hot.
If I had more room, I would absolutely have a collection of science fiction alcohols. Orion brandy and the stuff out of Battlestar Galactica and the Star Wars. All containers.
Real quick, they talk about more room. I literally built a bar into my desk. You can make more room. Sorry.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it's just I have so much crap. I don't need another collection. I've already got my collection of nerd toys behind me over there.
Just don't.
You can see my Apollo.
Yes.
My Apollo 11 stack there behind me right there. I'm gonna have to put a. If we make it back to the moon again, I'm probably gonna have to put an SLS stack back there too.
You can see
yeah.
my stack.
Oh
Yeah.
gosh. Hey Judd, your room is actually looking a lot better than it did last year. So keep that up.
So I'm actually working on a story that starts off with a spaceship launch. What would be more impressive, like the big rockets with the smoke and and everything else, just like we've been launching for the last 40 years, 50 years into space, or a spacecraft that lifts up with like almost no sound and just kind of floats up into the sky and then turns and accelerates away almost completely silently. It's like, for story reasons, I really want the anti-gravity, almost silent ship, but like for drama, the nothing beats a giant rocket taking off. I mean,
you should up the danger and have it like a nuclear explosion at the site with the mushroom
There
cloud.
is actually a ship designed to use the detonation of a nuclear weapon to launch it into space. It was shelved because of fallout.
Because you're using a nuclear weapon to launch a ship into space.
One of my favorite book series, unfortunately, he ended it. The bloody bastard. He's kind of continuing it in his secondary in another book series he's just started. But the main thing is it's called Silver Ships, and he didn't rename it afterwards because the first 3 books they kind of got rid of all the Silver Ships. So what else do you call it? It's still the Silver Ships. But they're all a basically made out of spit, lobster spit. You have to read the series to understand, but they're all like organically created ships.
So this ship would kill me?
Only if you
probably. Only if you licked it. But it's all
I can't view around it.
Only if you break off one of the landing gear, crack it open with a giant nutcracker, and eat its flesh.
I've had anaphylactic shock from touching imitation crab meat. Let's not go there.
Oh, well, imitation crab meat is disgusting. It's
still got crab in it.
It's basically sausage. It's basically fish sausage.
Yeah, I'm just anyways. Peanut Gorilla says the ship launcher should be a trebuchet.
3, 2, 1, and the giant man with the hammer breaks the rope, and the slingshot fires the ship into space.
Yeah.
Anyways, so these ships, basically, they use them as they refer to them as travelers. They're basically like shuttlecraft.
Mm-hmm.
They're completely solid. There is no openings. It took them forever to figure out how to actually get door openings and whatnot on them, outside of using the lobsters to tear them apart and then rebuild them. Space lobsters, big giant space lobsters. But ever afterwards, whenever they would hit a new species or whatever that didn't know anything about their technology, they all get inside, the lights dim. Maybe half hour later, lights brighten up. So when are we going to leave? What are you talking about? We're already on board. What? Open the door. What? So the pure act of no drama was the drama.
Well, that's my thinking is the ships in this universe use a gravity drive. So it literally creates a gravitational field that pulls the vessel in the direction that you want it to go. And I love that thought. I love that idea because it allows you to create reactionless drives that don't need reaction mass. So you're not constantly spewing some sort of material out your back end in order to move your craft.
Hold on. Let me go with that phrase real quick. Spewing material out your back end. That is how we shall describe what children do when they're infants. Anyways, continue.
Yes. Yeah. There's a joke about babies being all needy at one end and no responsibility at the other end. But
continue.
Those politicians.
I don't know the difference.
They're both full of shit and need diapers.
But I still like the idea of, the big giant rocket. That one of my favorite Rush songs is the one with the final countdown, and the whole thing is literally describing the space shuttle launch.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I'm still torn on that one. But yeah, I don't know why it went that way.
Okay.
Oh, here we're talking about the rocket behind me. I'm excited to see. I hope they make a model the same scale of the space launch system, because I really want to have
Here, lean back again.
another model rocket back there.
There you go.
Wait, this way?
Yeah.
Okay.
Space launch, we're not
Are you screen capping my rocket? Okay, I'm just going to put it on record. The name Starship is the dumbest thing ever because it's not a starship.
No.
Does that ship is meant to go to Mars. Is Mars a star? No, it's not a starship.
Maybe they'll put stars flying it.
By definition, that starship is not a starship.
Isn't the definition of a starship a ship that can travel between the stars?
The definition of a starship is a ship that travels from one star system to another. If it can't go to Alpha freaking Centauri, it's not a starship.
You can get there. It just takes a long time.
It's just going to take a really long time.
Okay, so
I'm gonna
now
go a step further and say if it doesn't travel faster than the speed of light, it's not a starship.
Okay, so now, since we're basically getting off of topics onto other topics onto tangents, I'm going to end our podcast with Little Miss Priss, and I'm going to wake her up.
Don't wake up.
Little bundle of furry danger.
Did we get I heard a do, but I don't see what to look for.
It's in stream. It's not on. I'm not sharing anything.
Oh, well, it's weird because I heard the sound, the do sound of something.
Yeah, so did I. Are we done?
I don't.
No, we're still streaming on live.
Are we done? Are we there yet?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Are we there
I'm
yet?
failing at waking my cat up.
There yet? No.
Oh, I need to change the copyright date on that slide, don't I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Prissy, Peanut Gorilla says he loves you.
You could just leave it at 2020. That's when we started it.
True, but the copyright is supposed to reflect when you record the.
Okay.
When it is a fixed to permanent. What's the term for it? I forgot the term for it now.
I woke her up. She wants pets.
When it's recorded, basically.
We'll release it last year.
We'll release it last year. There we go. Time travel is in our mandate.
Why not? We got a starship, apparently.
Okay. Well, thank you guys for joining us for this returning episode, which is what episode, Tom?
I don't even know.
16? Is this the 16th stream?
Oh, I don't know. Sounds about right.
I didn't even bother doing YouTube stuff, so I was numbering it over there.
Either way, thank you guys for joining us for another podcast, and we look forward to being on the return end of things. And as you can tell, this kind of occurs when there is actually stuff for us to watch and talk about. So this is going to be a bi-weekly podcast, so that means in 2 weeks' time, we will return to talk more shit about more star, related shit. When I say star related, it's more sci-fi related, but you get my drift. So I'll let Tom do our closing.
Speaking of which, do we know when the next Star Trek series is premiering?
Yes, it's in the podcast agenda. I put everything in there. So Picard, late 2021 to early 2022. Mandalorian, 2022. Discovery, late 2021. The Book of Boba Fett, which is going to be premiering in December 2021. That's
supposed to be in Christmas, yeah.
Yeah. So we've got a lot going on during the winter season.
Yes.
So everyone got to see podcast agenda because, I mapped all that out. Anyways, if you wouldn't mind doing our closing, saying goodbye, Tom, I will...
I completely forgot what I'm supposed to say. This has been a production of Starport Omega. Live long and prosper, peace and long life. May the force be with you. Klaatu Barada Nikto. Oh, wait, no, that would be... There we go.
There we go. Okay. And have a good night, everybody. Thank you for joining us.